Joining us tonight, Congressman Jim Jordan, ranking member of the House Oversight Committee, member of the Judiciary Committee, co-founder of the influential House Freedom Caucus. Congressman, great to have you with us. The Democratic Party looks like it is in total disarray.
Well,
it's stunning what they're doing.
Yeah, if you needed any more proof that they were more focused on stopping the president than they are on helping the country, this is it. I mean, the Speaker of the House doesn't invite or disinvites the Commander-in-Chief, the President of the United States of America, not to come give the State of the Union address. I mean, this is unbelievable. And you couple that with what happened yesterday, when the President invited Democrats to the White House to talk about getting a solution, building a border security wall, figuring out how we can negotiate this to some kind of end, and they didn't even show up. So not showing up and now not inviting the President to give the annual State of the Union address. This is how much they are focused on stopping the president and how little they are focused on what we need to be doing, which is helping the country.
Well, it looks to me, Congressman, like this just blew up in Pelosi's face, this shallow, I mean, really contemptuous gambit on her part.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think where it's really going to matter are in these close districts where a Democrat barely beat a Republican. That seat like the Oklahoma City district, Kendra Horn, who won that seat,
right.
Joe Cunningham, who won Mark Sanford's seat in South Carolina. I think constituents in those districts are going to start telling their member, wait a minute, go talk to the president. Don't have the State of the Union like we always do in this country. Go tell your leadership to sit down with the president. Let's figure out how to build this border security wall and actually help the country.
Are you at least surprised, a little bit, that Nancy Pelosi did not at least feign interest in what the Secret Service and the Department of Homeland Security had to say about security, since she used that as her excuse to be as insulting as she knew how to be?
Not really. I mean, remember today's left. They applaud Kaepernick when he disrespects our flag. They embrace Governor Cuomo when he says America was never that great. They cheer on Maxine Waters when she says go out and harass anybody who supports our president. This is today's left. I mean, their very first big hearing they're doing, they're inviting a convicted felon, Michael Cohen, in to address Congress. And one of the things he's convicted of and going to go to prison for is he lied to Congress. So from this group, nothing should surprise us. But I guess deep down it does a little bit, because this is the State of the Union address.
You know, I almost feel like I should withdraw the question, Congressman, but I'm frankly, I cannot believe the maladroit politics of the left and their indifference to what was once their base. Working men and women, middle-class Americans, small business. They have sold out to, I guess, illegal immigrants, various special interests.
How about those union workers in Youngstown, Ohio? Those union workers in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania? Those hardworking families? Yes.
Trump Democrats.
Exactly. I've been around. I gave a speech before the election in Youngstown, and there were 500 people who showed up at this Republican event in Youngstown, Ohio. How about those families? They want a wall built. They know it's good for this nation. They know they want this president to keep fighting hard to make sure that happens.
I want to take up, if we may, very quickly here, the letter that you and Congressman Mark Meadows have sent seeking more information about the criminal case against James Baker, the former general counsel of the FBI. Where are you headed here?
Well, the main thing is this is the top lawyer at the FBI. This is their chief counsel, their general counsel, Jim Baker, Comey and McCabe's right-hand man. He's under investigation. He is a subject of investigation by the U.S. Attorney in Connecticut. That is big news. We don't know exactly what all the details and the parameters of that investigation are, but his lawyer told us in the deposition that he's under investigation, and that's why they couldn't answer, Jim Baker couldn't answer certain questions Mark and I had for him in that deposition. We want to know more about that. But the key is this: Andy McCabe, Deputy Director of the FBI, Jim Baker, Chief Counsel of the FBI, two of the ringleaders in this whole effort to go after the president, both under investigation. Both were at the FBI. McCabe was fired. Baker was demoted and then left. And, of course, we got Lisa Page and Peter Strzok, who were also demoted and fired at the FBI. Those were the four ringleaders in this whole sordid affair. We want to get the answers, and that's why we continue to push.
And we should point out that despite all, none of those people you just enumerated have been punished for what is obviously,
not yet,
as you say, we hope, but to this point, not punished in any way for their abuse of power, and just flaunting the law and regulations of the two most important federal agencies in law enforcement. Congressman Jim Jordan, as always, it's great to have you with us. Thanks so much.
Take care, buddy.
You too.